All right, our last format then is that ping thing, and what I'm going to do here is knock out this background just a moment. Okay, so I've knocked out the background of this, and if I just turn on this background layer here, you can see it's knocked out. And it's not the cleanest, it's not, but it's really just for our purposes so we can see what our options are with this. Um, and what we're going to do with this one to illustrate, where we some different things. I'm just going to show you some different options here for sending this out. Now, if this was a super clean knockout and we didn't have these little white jaggities on here, right? Say we had this going on a gray background. One option to send this out would be to send it out as a pink with a matte. So the little edges of it would be a matte of this gray, and what it'll do is it'll fill in wherever it needs to put gray around it. So or whatever your background color is. So you can do that in a GIF format. Take this. So I'm going to turn off this background, and we're going to pretend, remember, our background color is gray, and we're going to pretend that this is a clean knockout. And we're going to go over here to GIF, and we're going to say transparency. So now we are sending out a transparent image, but it is going to be all messed up around here. Font would be another time when this would come into play. And what we do is we come over here to matte and we choose a color, and I just sampled that gray, so I'm going to put that in. Oh, it didn't grab my sample. Hold on a minute. So what is our color? 9B, 9A, 9A. Okay. So again, GIF, transparency, matte, and other, and again I'm going to try and paste this. There, I took it this time. Okay, great. So what you may or may not be able to tell is that it's putting a little bit of gray around all of this stuff to try to make it smooth. And if I were to send this out like I've got it and I put it on a gray background, then ideally these images these edges would be really, really smooth. And this would be very true if we, again, if we would use this technique if we had font that we were working with. So we'll just take this and make it very, very large and font. And if we had some sort of header graphic that was typographic or solid, like a solid logo, and we wanted this to be sent out cleanly, we would have this transparent background, file save for web, GIF, transparency, and the matte would be the background color of our design. And now you might have seen the font shift just there. What it did is it filled in little gray, this color, little pixels of that color around all this to make it look smooth. If we didn't do that, it would go in jaggedy. This is as a GIF, okay? Now another option, and what people are doing more and more, and it's a little simpler, is to simply take this and save it out. And this would go out though as 2.5K. Save it out as a transparent ping, so ping 24 transparency, then you don't have to worry about a matte or anything. So most likely what you would do is save it out as a ping. You can save with your file size if you know what you're doing with a GIF, but if you're just like, I don't get it, I don't know how to do that, you can save it out as a ping 24. You do sacrifice a little in file size. Now, a common thing to do with pings is if we have a layer here, and we'll just say that we have this really awesome gradient that we love and we want to use it, so we're going to, and we'll just leave it as black, and it's a gradient that goes to transparency like that. Okay, and we really want that to go out, and we want it to be able to sit on top of any background. Any background. We want to go out just like this, semi-transparent with that there. That is when you absolutely positively need to use a ping, and we didn't have this option, so ping 24 transparency, it's going to send it out like this. So when you sit that on top of anything, the background color or anything that's back there will show through. So we would just choose ping 24 with transparency, click save, and bring it into our document, and it'll sit on top of anything that you want, whether you use this as a background image and then there's a background color, or whether you put it you just call it in directly, it's going to behave the same for you. So those are the image format choices. With the biggest thing you got to remember is if it's a photo, you're probably sending it as a JPEG. If it's like line art, a logo, it's probably going to go out as a GIF unless it has a transparent background. And if it has a transparent background, then you might choose a GIF with the matte like I showed you, or you might use this Ping 24 with transparency option. Either one will work. It just depends on what you are comfortable doing. And by all means, make sure your image is the size you want it, image size. It's the size you want it at 72 dots per inch, so your width and height in pixels and 72 dots per inch before you do file save for web. And then once you have all those settings, then you can save it into your images folder within your site project folder. Do not size stuff in Dreamweaver after the fact. It does have a sizing capability like connect you with Photoshop. I don't use that technique, though it's in your Dreamweaver Visual Quick Start Guide. Now, how can I tell if you didn't size your images properly? If we click on this image, this is one that hasn't been properly sized. This is the size I wanted, so I just went ahead and did it right here. Well, you can see if I click on this image, it's super bold. It's telling you that's not the real size of the image, and you shouldn't be doing that. So it does have this option to edit in Photoshop and do some stuff with it here. Again, I have a tendency not to use this integrated option, but it is in the Dreamweaver Visual Quick Start Guide. You can go and look that up if you want. However, like I said, I do it this other way and it's fine. Now, here's another way I can tell is if I click on this right here. Now I get the actual size that it is, and look, that bold dimension for width and height went away. You don't want to see that bold stuff ever. That means you're forcing the browser to resize, and that is, you should have a smaller image. You should never force the browser to act like an image editing tool.